Thanks, Ernest, for the flattering introduction. Well, let's get started. First of all, I think everybody has to read the disclaimer. Can you read from people at the back? Can you read it clear? I guess it's best to read it first. By watching, listening to this presentation, it must be agreed upon by you that you have not been coerced and in any way forced to view the following presentation. So, in other words, you did it on your own volition. And that you are voluntarily waiving your rights and claims to hold the speaker to any responsibility that may negatively take upon you as having to listen and watch the contents of this presentation. This presentation must not in any way be taken seriously, but only considered for educational and entertainment purposes only. Okay. The author reserves the right to be free from any legal or administrative liabilities thereon. Okay, let's begin. So, I was asked to give some views on philosophy. So I was thinking of a way how to deliver it so that it would be effective and not only to be understood, but at the same time also to be felt. Okay, I think it's best that a thing is felt and just understood. So it says, my definition will not be etymological since everybody knows that, those who've been under me, or in any way academically framed. My purpose here is, or my goal then is that, what is it like to be in philosophy? Okay. By describing my experiences, how I see the world with my own eyes in philosophy, I may in a way make you see what philosophy is all about. Okay. Here is a short outline. I try to be concise as much as possible. I don't want to hold you for too long, for an hour. So this will be more of a brief, quick view. So this is the outline. What is philosophy? A unique mind, all wonder and curiosity. It's more fun in philosophy. Benefits, effects, and of course the last part, the dangers of philosophy. So, when I was making this presentation, I was conversing with my colleague, Dr. Raj Matsukani. And he gave me an advice and told me that maybe the best way to deliver your talk is to show students that philosophy is necessary. So he told me maybe to discuss the necessities of philosophy. I think I got his point. I mean, to say that if philosophy is necessary, then it's like saying you can't do without it. So, but it said there, as I say, I reflect on what his advice was. It goes without saying that philosophy is a necessity. That is, one will have a harder time without being philosophical in mind. But a discussion on necessity, I understood, will bring us to the stale and boring area of philosophy. So being young, I was thinking about you guys. Teenagers don't even see the value of things being necessary, no offense meant, for reasons that there are just many things distracting them. Okay? They could still ignore necessary things for the simple reason that they could not at first easily relate to them. So I felt that I told myself they must first experience the necessity of philosophy, and the understanding will soon follow. So what is it to be in philosophy? Well, I was looking for a term, so it's a one of a kind of a mind. First, to be in philosophy, one must have a complete, different, unique mind. For lack of a better term, what came to my mind was a nerd. So I looked up the definition of a nerd, and it says a derogatory slang term for an intellectual but socially impaired person who spends time on undesirable pursuits. Well, I still think that the definition fits, you see. So I kind of reasoned out the definition. Well, first of all, one reason why the nerd is socially impaired is because he doesn't find the time and meaning to socialize. He's too busy about deeper things he finds in life. Socializing is just a waste of time. And second, of course, the undesirable pursuit is relative, okay, to what most understood by the phrase. Okay, next slide, please. This is a picture of a nerd. Okay. This is more nerd. Okay. Now, there's another thing. I realized that, yeah, as the title says, not all is cut for philosophy. Okay, that's why I always have it in mind every time I teach a philosophy class. You know, I don't expect everyone. Not like other classes, they expect you to, you know. For me, I think I understand for the basic reason that not all. Some minds are just not cut for philosophy. Okay? These people will live and die without intensely realizing the weirdness and the mystery of existence. Though some of these minds will be successful in life, that is, they become rich, fulfilled, they will never realize or reach the peak of philosophic ecstasy. And it said there, well, why is this so? Well, from my view, the reason for this is either it's genetic or environment or both. Undoubtedly, we are a summation of our parents' genes. That you cannot escape. And we'll always find ourselves in a particular environment. So if you find yourself not philosophically inclined, please don't blame your parents. Now here, these are the ingredients that I find. Okay? Awe and wonder. Philosophers, as I realize, have an innate, intense sense of wonder of the world. You know, they're not boring would be the last feeling that they're going to get. Okay, it is by realizing the amazing magnitude of complexity and the beauty of the world that brings to the mind the sense of awe. Well, some of you probably felt this already. More importantly, the apparent comprehensibility of things gives rise to certain questions. Awe and wonder begins with the questions, how could this be? Or what is it, why is it that way and not the opposite? Or why is this thing possible at all? So every time you're faced with something, these are the questions that commonly strikes the philosophic mind. Okay? Well, as you proceed in many things with awe and wonder, sometimes the wonder may die down, the awe fades, but the intense curiosity maintains the philosopher's mind focused on the thing that brings curiosity. So it's, yeah, the two things may be gone, but then again, the intense curiosity. To be in philosophy, one must have an infinitely curious mind, ever seeking answers to puzzles brought about by the weirdness of existence. Maybe to some they don't find existence weird, but I do. Please. Now, what curiosity is as such? Well, it's persistent, never-ending curiosity of the world around us, the insatiable hunger of wanting to know practically anything. Okay? Tireless inquisitiveness, too, of many things. Like a curious child dismantling his toys just to find out what made them tick. Well, I recall my childhood, I practically destroyed all my trucks and, you know, I just want to know how come they move. See? Anyway. It's just that the philosophers couldn't sleep with a problem that is left unanswered. They're really bothered by it. And of course, right there, questions and problems to him are personal, whatever they may be. So in other words, yes, this is one reason why philosophers are always involved in the things that they deal. Because they really take things very personally. So, I was picturing like, so how would I project awe so that you get the feel of it? So, well, I thought of myself the most immediate thing is to get some images, hopefully that you might find awe-inspiring and, you know, creating wonder and curiosity. So, what are those things that brings about awe, wonder, and curiosity? Well, for me, practically everything. So these are some of the images. Well, that one is, I think, I forgot the galaxy number, but I think it's NGC32. I took that from the Space Hubble telescope photographs that they sent me through my email. In fact, just to see that thing, as far as I'm concerned, if you want to see, for example, where the solar system is, our solar, well, of course, this is not the Milky Way galaxy. Even if I would not go up to that projector screen and put a pin on it, you would not even see our solar system. That's how humongous this particular galaxy is. And you could see also that no wonder astronomers are studying it, because galaxies do behave in certain patterns. You see, it's like also at the same time a pattern of a storm, of a typhoon. If you see Pagasa, a satellite, it's the same. So there seems to be a regular pattern from the macrocosm to the microcosm. So this is enough to make one wonder. Please. Well, here, of course, when you look at the blast off the space shuttle, it also brings awe and inspiration, because you can just see the tremendous technology of how humans have evolved with the power of how we can put man into space. Too bad, well, it's not here in the Philippines, it's in the US. Another image is this one. I hope you can clearly see it. Well, I really checked out this photograph, and I think it's not a hoax. As you can see, this is also mind-boggling. Okay, this was photographed, I think, somewhere in Arkansas. It was photographed at around 9 p.m. And well, I think it's not even a hoax, because the person who uploaded it doesn't want to be known. So this gives us already an inclination that there are more things in real life. And maybe this outright answer, maybe it gives us a suspicion that we are not alone. Okay, next slide, please. Well, for more mundane concerns, this also brings awe and inspiration. Okay, that's a Lamborghini Diablo. Okay. Yeah, in fact, my question here is that not only its beauty, but I ask the question, what is in speed that man keeps on hungering? You know, they create more and more, faster and faster cars and vehicles. What is there in speed that we get addicted to it? Okay. This is a photograph. As you can see closely, that's actually the moon. Okay, it's a solar eclipse, a perfect photograph. This is not retouched. That's an actual thing. So you could see the corona of the sun. I think this is an eclipse in 209. Okay, this is enough also to make us wonder. Okay, next please. And same thing, this one too. It's a beautiful photograph that you get the feeling that you are one of the astronauts, and you could see how we could float, and look at the blackness of space. Yeah, it also makes us think that maybe the world is just a speck of dust, and man is just, yeah, you know, lifelessly right there, floating. And you can ask, what is beyond that blackness of space? Okay, next please. And also here also you could see another aspect of reality, the grandeur and the beauty. It's, in fact, for me, it's really awe-inspiring. You can't help but ask, but, you know, is the world really made for us? You know, it's so beautiful that it's just so happened that we are here, and we kind of enjoy the beauty. In fact, it's only mankind who has a concept of beauty. I don't, even if there are deers, fishes, I don't think they would realize how beautiful the this is, I think, the, what park is this? Yosemite, okay, park. Next, please. Oops, well, it's the same thing, you know, beauty and art, it's also awe-inspiring. I mean, for the gentleman in class, you know, it makes us think, you know. Okay, next please. This one too is mind-boggling. I checked around, and this photograph, yeah, they say it was not doctored, but there are some articles written on it that say that there's some trick the guy is doing. As you can see, there are other people around to check whether he's hanging on the wire, but it goes to show that he was not. Okay, but I suspect that there's a cane right there. But it's, again, impossible for him to maintain that posture if he's only leaning on that cane. You know, not unless he's got some levitation, you know, that really keeps him up. Okay, next. Well, yeah, these are my kids. It's also awe-inspiring, you know. Sometimes I wonder where they came from, you know. Sorry, that's a double meaning. They only came from one source. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, I checked out my research. I told myself to get the oldest that I can find. And I got one. This is so far, as you can see, it's actually a brown. It's sepia. I think this photograph was taken somewhere in the 1890s. This is up in the sky, and there is something right there. Well, now we have a description. It's a cigar UFO. Now you could already wonder that this thing cannot be hoax, because in those days we don't have CGIs. Okay, we could not manipulate photographs then. So this was just a clear snapshot. And this makes you think already. Do they exist? Well, the photograph doesn't lie. Next slide, please. Again, another old one. In fact, as you can see, there's something written there dated 1929. And it's very interesting, really, you know, it extracts your curiosity. And a close-up portion, you can see it's not a dirt. There's a pattern there underneath that vehicle. So clearly, you know, it makes you think. We can already exclude a hoax just because of the age of the photograph. So these are some of the inspiring awe-inspiring things that, you know, that caters to the mind. Another one, I think this one is in 1942. As you can see that there are 4 shining things there. What makes it interesting is that it has a flight formation. So it's not just random. Again, this cannot be a hoax for the reason that the age of the photograph, there were no manipulations done yet at that particular era. Okay. This one is a later modern. Well, yeah, here now you can say maybe it was a frisbee thrown up in the air because of the CGI and everything. But then again, I think I took this in a more reputable website. So I guess this is also not a hoax. Okay, thanks. This is a close-up view of the sun that before a corona massive ejection occurs. So that alone, you could see how awesome the sun is. Next. Here is more or less a relative portion of the size of the sun. If you are to proportions to compare the Earth, I think perfectly you would see probably that, is that a fly there? That black thing there would be more or less the size of the Earth. So you could just see that, yeah, these are things that bother my mind. How awesome our universe is. Okay. And of course, yeah, the great mind here, a true example, I think he is considered as a nerd. For one thing, Einstein was already found out to be autistic. At age 3, he was not yet, he didn't have the capacity to speak. But then again, his mind really, yeah, he was so interested in things, the whole universe, in fact. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, so my title is right there. The title, in fact, is catchy. It's used by the Philippine government for tourism. So it's more fun in the Philippines, in philosophy. You get to realize, and here are some of the reasons, you get to realize the fun of using more of your mind than your senses. Okay? You realize that with just your mind, you can explore the mysterious, weird world around you without limits. In fact, you begin to see that the world that you live in itself is weird enough. This experience of weirdness alone is enough to propel you to further thought, so that you start asking questions such as, is the world really rational? Also, can it really be comprehensible? In fact, that's also one of the questions of Einstein. Because with math, he says, maybe I can comprehend the whole universe with math. But with the onset of quantum theory and the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, the last question there might be put to a question. Next, you realize that you have an edge over others. That is, you're more intelligent when it comes to thinking, of course, about many things. Okay? Next is that you will realize and see that your perception and perspective of the world will be wider and far-reaching. Okay? You will not be limited and cooked up in your own little world of friends and family. You will discover amazing realities that are possible but not yet realizable. Okay? Like what? Well, for example, renewable forms of energies. In fact, they exist. You're not just being told about it.
Possibility of perpetual motion machines. These are like, yeah, I know, very controversial, but from my research, I think they're just being suppressed. You might ask, what's the big deal about the perpetual motion machine? Because if it's possible, it breaks one of the fundamental laws of Newton, the second law of thermodynamics. Okay? There is also, more interesting nowadays, the so-called zero-point energies. This simply means that in a particular machine, a little limited energy output, just a push of a hand, the machine will start, it will yield greater amounts of energies, infinitely. It doesn't run out. I'm not talking about nuclear fission, no, not any nuclear thing. Now, there are also here, you realize that different means of propulsions, like anti-gravity, field proportions, as contrasted to the now outdated chemical combustion thrust propulsions. In fact, it's already been outdated. It's just that, multi-million companies are actually deliberately suppressing it, like oil companies, because they will lose billions of dollars once these things come out. Okay, and of course you also get to realize that Einstein's theory of relativity is incomplete. That is, light might not, after all, not be the constant speed limit of the universe, such as that neutrinos, these are elementary particles, may after all break Einstein's speed limit of light, which is c. Okay. Of course, this is the latest now. The Higgs boson particle, this is brought about by the so-called Hadron Collider in CERN in Switzerland, where there's a 12-mile radius cyclotron, and they smash elementary particles just to discover the so-called God particle. It's called the God particle because that's supposedly physicists are theorizing as the very first particle that arose when the so-called Big Bang occurred. Okay? And now they still are doing the test, but chances are, from my estimate, it's going to be verified already. So the Higgs boson particle could finally explain why the universe exists. Well, if you're aware, as you can see, if this has now been verified, with all due respect to religion, well, you don't anymore need God to explain the universe. The universe can be explained in itself. So in that sense, physics has made God jobless. Yeah, in other words, God may, after all, in the end, may be already an unnecessary hypothesis. So yeah, the Higgs boson is said to be that they're the ones that give elementary particles their mass. In other words, for a particle to exist, it must contain mass. Okay? But the universe we live is, or has actually more than 4 dimensions. Okay? That these other dimensions do in fact interact with the 4 current one, resulting in weird phenomena. And that's why I think this can explain why people sometimes experience ghosts or some aerial phenomena. And the explanation there is sometimes these other dimensions in fact are actually interacting. So to talk about ghosts and poltergeist, moving objects, or apparitions, this could probably be the explanation. The intersecting of different dimensions from our 4 dimensions. Well, another thing is there. Birds with same feathers flock together, and I think this is true. You get the chance to be with more intelligent people than dumb ones. Okay? Well, who wants to be with dumb people? Okay? Well, next is not to mention beautiful women are more attracted to you. As I say, it's not the looks, it's the books. Well, again, women unconsciously get attracted to intelligent males for the better reason. Okay? Nature tends always to improve itself. That's already proven by natural selection, Darwin, Evolution always goes for the best. And of course, by being constantly curious, inevitably you are constantly informed and updated about many things. such as, for those who may not know, there is an imminent UFO disclosure about to happen in ufology. Yeah, because the UFO, in fact, has been, it's the greatest untold secret, and there's always a controversy there that they're being suppressed. That's why a lot of people don't believe or even don't know that they exist. But in ufology nowadays, it's been 60 years, I think, yeah, 60 years since Roswell. In the States, there is in fact a talk that maybe they might already officially pronounce that ETs, in fact, not only that they exist, but they are on planet Earth. And it's a big deal because once this is disclosed, mankind will never be the same. In fact, some would say that disclosure might even be more significant than the birth of Christ. Yeah, because if there are in fact already extraterrestrials, then your perspective of the world would be more different. By the way, again, you get informed that, well, not recently, but I think about two or 3 years ago, the right-hand man of the Pope, not Ratzinger, but the late Pope, Monsignor Balduzzi, came out with a press release. It's a press release, so it means to say that it's the stand, the official stand of the Catholic Church. And the press release is actually telling its faithful Catholic believers that it's okay to believe in extraterrestrials. Now you might say, yeah, sure, well, so what's the point? What's the big deal? Well, if you really know, there is some controversy in that declaration. For one thing, if you're aware of the fundamentals of Catholicism, is that man, us, humankind, is the highest pinnacle of creation, which means Catholicism does not and cannot entertain any being higher than us. Now all of a sudden, here comes the Catholic Church itself proclaiming that it's okay to believe other beings higher than us. Now, if you just use simple logic, that is already a contradiction there. The Catholic Church is outright contradicting one of its main principles. Well, of course, that's not the point. If you are very suspicious, in fact, or skeptical, the question that needs to be asked is, why did the Church come out with this official declaration? Makes you think, right? Why? Not unless they know something about ETs. And not only that, they know that they cannot hold the secret for long. It's got to come out. And I think the position of the Catholic Church is that they don't want to be left behind, so they really immediately come out, so that when it comes out, they can tell you, well, you see, we told you so. Yeah, that's the way I see it. Next, well, also at the same time, you get informed that, are you aware if you're going to go tour Egypt? Sorry, but you cannot anymore tour the Great Pyramids. It's been cordoned off. They put a high wall. Just imagine. It should be a what do you call that?